Welcome, fellow bookworms, to Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and we just finished reading Ain't No Mountain by Sharon Ewell Foster. So this was our weekly read from September 22nd through September 29th. And this one, I'll get into my thoughts on it in a second, because it's kind of complicated. So I'll talk about this in just a second. As a reminder, this week we are going to be reading Carla Neggers and The Secrets of the Lost Summer. And really excited about this one, kind of one last little summer read before we fully get into spooky season and everything like that. So this is the one we will be reading this week. So hopefully you'll join me, and if you're not sure, definitely check out my thoughts next Wednesday on this. And then of course for next Wednesday, I introduced this one in Monday's video, so if you kind of want to hear the synopsis and everything like that, check out Monday's video, and that way you have an idea of what this book is about. But we are going to be reading 4 Summoner's Tales there's 4 different authors. There's Kelly Armstrong, Christopher Golden, David Bliss, and Jonathan Mawberry. So definitely diving into spooky season, and I thought, this one, there's 4 tales in one book, so why not? So really excited to read this one next week and really start to dive into spooky season. I've already started watching spooky movies and things like that. I watched Halloween Town last night when I'm filming this anyway last night. So just really diving in. I'm going to watch Hocus Pocus, and I've been watching some more adult horror films and things like that. So anyway, hopefully you will join me as we read some spooky reads in October. But this one will be, like I said, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday we'll start this one. So get a copy. Links are down in the description below. Just a reminder that we did start our new book of the month, and so we are reading The Ring by Danielle Steel. Again, the breakdown is down in the description in case you want to participate, and there's also links where you can pick this up. This one is for my grandma. She gifted me her whole collection, and so I'm reading these, and then I'm gonna definitely enjoy talking to her about this book after I read it. So, and then of course we are finishing up Full Moon for Series Saturday, and we will be jumping into Grave Peril, which is the 3rd series in the Dresden Files. And so yeah, really excited. Lots of reads going on, and don't forget I'm also doing Throwback Thursdays now, and so you can see some of my favorite childhood reads on Thursday. But let's go ahead and get into my thoughts on Ain't No Mountain. So what it doesn't tell you on the back, or how it classifies, it just says fiction, contemporary, African American. It doesn't tell you that it's very Christian based. It's kind of a more of a Christian novel. That being said, let's just back up here. This is gonna be kind of a rough one. So for me, I believe in God. I do have some problems with organized religion. I found some good organized religion. I did used to go to church in my old town, but it was hard to find the church I did and how open and non-judgmental they were. And so one thing I really enjoyed about this is it does kind of poke fun at the different stereotypes that are often a problem. Like, there are stereotypes for a reason. They are often a problem with organized religion. Like, people can be very, very judgmental, very hurtful, if they don't feel like you're living your life right and things like that. So basically, it follows Mary, and she is single, which causes a problem. But at the same time, like, the fact that she's trying to find a man causes a problem too. Like, there's just a lot of judgment. And she mentors these 3 teenagers. Um, and that was probably my favorite part of the book, is her and these 3 teenagers and their interactions. And my favorite line actually comes from interactions with them. And so she's trying to do kind of what the church expects her to, and she's buying, these books and these education materials to share with them, and she's just really not connecting with them. until she kind of throws that all out the window and has an honest conversation. So she gives them a list of names in the Bible and tells them, of women in the Bible, and tells them, find one that you relate to, and then you could teach me, explain to me why you relate to them, blah blah blah. And so they do that, and that's kind of goes throughout the book, and I really enjoyed that. Like, it was really honest. And when I did go into church and things like that, that's what I did enjoy about it. Was those conversations and relating to certain characters in the Bible. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed that part. And then you also have Puddin and her husband Joe, and he has a secret, and she thinks he's into pornography, and so she's upset. And all they eat is chicken because he's kind of a penny pincher. And so all they eat is chicken, and that's kind of, if you saw when I read the synopsis, that's where the whole lot of chicken comes into play, is because of that. Like, all they eat is chicken, and then she kind of gets fed up and ends up, there's a big event with the chicken, which is a lot of fun. And then you have Moore, who is the prince of the story. He is from Africa, and he is there, doing a like an economic study course thing. And so he's not interested in a wife. He wants to focus on that, and then when he goes home, he's gonna find a wife. But he gets a letter from his grandma, and it kind of changes his mind. So this book, one, there's a lot of church talk. It's not even so much that the religious talk bothered me. It was a lot of the church, and the judgments that I've seen my own mom face and things like that. Um, that, like I said, are often problems in the church. So, um, that, like I said, it was a major part of the story. So that might not be something that you gravitate to. That didn't bother me so much. Though it bothered me, there was a lot of chatter. I don't think it really got to the main part of the story until at least 2/3 of the way in. And really had to keep forcing myself to read it. There was a lot of chatter, and then the dialect too is, obviously kind of their own culture, and so they kind of have their own dialect, and that kind of would throw me off a little bit. And again, that didn't bother me so much, other than it never got to the main point of the story, so it's just a lot of chatter. And so, struggling through the dialect, and then there's no main point, really. But again, that's kind of the cultural, like, these characters, they chatter a lot too, and so they're in Baltimore. But yeah, so Moore, who's the prince, he has two elderly gentlemen who's his friends, and then they have another younger gentleman who's their friend as well. He actually goes to the same church as Mary, but they've never met. And Joe and Pudding go to that church, and Pudding actually ends up getting a job. Joe doesn't want her to work, but because he has a secret, she decides to get a job, and so she's like a newspaper with the personal ads. She's kind of running that, and then she kind of puts her 2 cents in here and there as she feels is necessary. Otherwise, the computer kind of matches people up based on what they're wanting. And so, she actually ends up, Mary and Moore both end up doing a personal ad. Actually, Moore, the younger friend, not the two older gentlemen, but the younger friend, actually puts in a personal ad for him. Um, so that's kind of the whole premise. They actually end up meeting, but then they both are dating somebody else at the same time. And during the whole chicken fiasco, which that part was really enjoyable. Like, it was funny, and I really enjoyed it. But during that whole fiasco, she, knows who they are. Um, she figures it out, and so Moore, is with his date, and Mary's with her date, and she tells Mary that man ain't no good, because he's checking out everybody else, and he's not, like, he's a scuzzbag completely. And then for more, the girl chewed with her mouth open, and so she's like, that's gonna get on your nerves. Like, you may not think it's a big deal now, but that's gonna wear on you because it does bother you. Like, I can tell. And basically, Moore's like, no, it doesn't bother me. Like, I really like her, and she actually is dating more on the side and ends up getting proposed to, and so she dumps more. And Mary gets dumped, which she should have dumped the guy because he was a scuzzbag, but she ends up getting dumped. and so they in the end they end up coming together, but it's not till the very end. And they don't even meet like till towards the end of the chapter. So it's just very long and drawn out. I think it could have gotten to the point a little bit quicker. Like I said, I understand like why based on the characters who chatter a lot, but it just really wasn't my cup of tea. I mean, when my husband does that, like if he doesn't get to the point, I get frustrated because there's just too many details and I get really, really overwhelmed. And it's like you can shorten this and get to the point a lot quicker. I don't need the extra chatter and all the extra words. And so it wasn't just this book, like just in general, like I'm like that. Like I need just get to the point, like, and it wouldn't have bothered me so much if in the meantime she had been really building these characters and their backgrounds, but she didn't do that. It was just a lot of chatter. But overall, the premise of the story was good, and I did enjoy the ending, so I'm glad I saw it through. But let me go ahead and share my favorite line. And so the girls, they live in Baltimore. They kind of have a rough life. One of them, she's like half white, half black, and so she gets called a swirl, and she gets bullied a lot because of that. And then the other one, her parents are like druggies, and so she kind of gets sold essentially, or she has to kind of hustle drugs for them and such to make money. And the other one, she is more like the preppy girl, kind of has her life. Her parents have their life together. She kind of has it together, but she also has a lot of pressure because she can't. Like it's all surface appearance. There is issues behind the door. And so that's the three teenagers that Mary's mentoring. And the line that was my favorite is cat talking. And she just says, "We do what we got to do to survive." And she's kind of talking about, how people judge her and how she lives her life, but they don't understand what she's been through or why she lives her life that way. And so, yeah, overall, like I said, the premise of the story was pretty good, and I did enjoy that. And it's just I wish it had gotten to the point a little bit quicker or had built up the characters a little bit more and had been less, chatter. I can see a lot of people enjoying that though. So I would say, if you don't mind books that are kind of drawn out and just, trying to just do like funny humor type stuff, you might enjoy this book. Um, and unless you're totally against like God and you don't believe in him at all, you don't want to read about that, I say, even if you're have issues with the church, like it's still an enjoyable read. And I do think if you do believe in God, like there's lessons there as well. So kind of up in the air as far as whether I would recommend it or not. I think, it's definitely one if you can check it out from the library or maybe just get it on Kindle or something like that. Maybe see if it's something you like before actually buying a physical copy. I don't generally like to read books that way, but it is an option. Since this book, like I said, I'm not sure if others would like it or not. There's a lot of things I didn't like about it, but at the end of the day, I did enjoy how the story wrapped up and everything like that, and I'm glad I did read it. I'm not going to be keeping it on my shelf, but it was, like I said, something that I ended up enjoying at the when it was all said and done. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you here. Don't forget, we are going to be reading Secrets of the Lost Summer this week, and you can find my thoughts on this book next Wednesday. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.